Isabella's cover was simple. Fashion designer from Sao Paulo, hired to create Giuliana Russo's wedding wardrobe. It gave her access to both families, entry to private events, excuses to ask questions. What it didn't account for was Luca Moretti. He walked into Giuliana's fitting like he owned the world, which technically his family did. The Morettis controlled everything from Naples to Milan, shipping ports, politicians, judges, half the Italian government. They were untouchable. Until now. You must be the Brazilian designer, Luca said, his English perfect but accented. Giuliana speaks very highly of you. Isabella Santos. And your fiancé is easy to please. A lie. Giuliana was impossible, demanding, cold, treating Isabella like hired help. You're a terrible liar. Luca smiled. Giuliana is many things. Easy to please isn't one of them, but I appreciate the diplomacy. He was beautiful in that dangerous way powerful men often were. Tall, dark-eyed, expensively dressed. But it was his smile that caught Isabella off guard. Warm. Genuine. Nothing like the monster the FBI files described. I didn't realize the groom attended dress fittings, Isabella said, keeping her voice professional. I don't. But my mother insisted I approve the final selections. Family unity and all that. He examined the wedding dress Isabella had designed. White silk, traditional, expensive. It's beautiful. But it's not Giuliana. What do you mean? Giuliana likes modern lines. Sharp edges. This is too soft. Too romantic. He looked at Isabella. You designed what a bride should wear. Not what this bride would choose. Why? Because the FBI had told her to make Giuliana look traditional and submissive for the photos. Because optics mattered for the case they were building. Creative difference, Isabella said carefully. I can modify it. Don't bother. Giuliana will love it because it's expensive and makes her look like royalty. That's all she cares about. Luca moved to the window looking out at Rome. Can I ask you something? Designer too. Whatever I am. Do you believe in marriage? That's a strange question from a groom. Humor me. Isabella thought about her parents, 30 years together, still madly in love. Proof that romance wasn't just fairy tales. Yes. When it's real. And this. He gestured at the wedding dress. Does this feel real to you? I'm not qualified to judge. Of course you are. You create romance for a living. Design dreams into fabric. You know what love looks like. He turned to face her. This marriage is business. Two families merging for power. Giuliana and I barely tolerate each other. We'll have separate bedrooms, separate lives, separate lovers. It's very civilized. Very Italian. Very empty. Then why go through with it? Because it's what's expected. What the family needs. What my father arranged before he died last year. Luca's jaw tightened. I'm the heir. The prince as they call me. And princes don't get to choose love. We choose duty. Something in his voice made Isabella's trained instincts flare. This wasn't the hardened criminal from her briefings. This was someone trapped. What would you choose? She asked before she could stop herself. If you could choose anything? Luca looked at her for a long moment. I choose to be anyone other than Luca Moretti. Anyone free. That was the first crack in her cover. The moment she stopped seeing him as a target and started seeing him as a person. The affair started accidentally. Isabella was in her hotel room reviewing surveillance notes when someone knocked. She opened the door to find Luca holding a bottle of wine and looking exhausted. This is inappropriate, he said without preamble. I shouldn't be here. You're engaged to design my wedding, not entertain me at midnight. But I've had the worst day of my life. And you're the only person in Rome who doesn't want something from me. How do you know I don't want something? Because you look at me like I'm human instead of a bank account or a stepping stone to power. He held up the wine. Can I come in? Just to talk. I promise I'll be gone in an hour. Isabella should have said no. Should have called her handler. Should have maintained professional distance. Instead, she stepped aside and let him in. They talked until dawn. About everything except crime and duty. Luca told her about growing up Moretti, the weight of the name, the expectations, the violence he'd witnessed. How his father had groomed him to take over, but his mother had taught him poetry and art and tried to keep him human. She died when I was 16, Luca said quietly. Breast cancer. And after she was gone, there was no one left to remind me I could be anything other than what my father wanted. What did you want to be? An architect. Stupid, right? The heir to a crime empire wanted to design buildings. He laughed bitterly. I even got accepted to Politecnico di Milano. Had my bags packed. Then my father sat me down and explained very clearly that Morettis don't run away. We lead. And if I tried to leave, people I cared about would suffer for my selfishness. That's not leadership. That's coercion. In my world, there's no difference. Isabella found herself telling him things too. About growing up in Sao Paulo's favelas. About her brother killed in gang violence when she was 17. About joining the FBI to fight the kind of men who destroyed her family. She didn't tell him she was FBI. Didn't tell him he was one of those men she'd sworn to destroy. But she told him enough truth that when he kissed her, soft and desperate and wrong, she kissed him back. This is a terrible idea, Isabella whispered against his lips. The best ideas usually are. They became lovers. Secret, impossible, doomed lovers. Meeting in her hotel room after events where he'd smiled at Juliana for the cameras. Stealing afternoons in his apartment when his security thought he was at business meetings. Learning each other's bodies and hearts with the desperate intensity of people running out of time. What happens after the wedding? Isabella asked one night, lying in his arms. We end this. You go back to Brazil. I go back to being Luca Moretti, husband to Juliana, heir to the empire. We become a beautiful memory. And if I don't want to be a memory, then we'd both be choosing a fantasy over reality. And in my world, fantasies get you killed. Isabella's FBI handler started getting suspicious. You're too close to the target. Your reports are sympathetic. Are you compromised? No, Isabella lied. I'm gaining his trust. It takes time. We don't have time. The wedding is in 3 months. We need concrete evidence before then. Recordings. Documents. Something that will hold up in court. I'm working on it. But she wasn't. She was falling in love with the man she was supposed to betray. The breaking point came when Luca showed her his plan. They were in his study, forbidden territory she'd only entered because he dismissed his guards, and he pulled out a laptop filled with files. I've been documenting my family's crimes for 5 years, he said. Every transaction, every bribe, every victim, everything my father did, everything my uncles do, everything I've been forced to be part of. I have evidence that could dismantle the entire organization. Isabella's heart stopped. Why? Because I want out. I've wanted out since my mother died. But I couldn't leave while my father was alive. He would have killed anyone I cared about as punishment. Now that he's gone, I have a chance. He looked at her. After the wedding, I'm going to turn all of this over to Interpol. Testify against my own family. Destroy the Moretti Empire in exchange for immunity and witness protection. You'd give up everything? I'd give up an empire built on blood for a chance at a real life. Yes. He took her hands. Come with me. Into witness protection. We'll disappear together. Start over somewhere they'll never find us. Brazil maybe. Or Australia. Somewhere far from this world where we can just be Luca and Isabella instead of prince and designer. Isabella wanted to say yes more than she'd wanted anything in her life. But she was FBI. And the man she loved was planning to give evidence to Interpol instead of the Americans who'd been building this case for years. If she let that happen, months of work would be wasted. Her career would be over. I need time to think, she said. How much time? I don't know. Luca studied her face. You're hiding something. I can feel it. Who are you really, Isabella Santos? Someone who loves you. That's the only truth that matters. Then prove it. Run away with me. Tomorrow. Right now. Leave everything behind and choose us. Isabella thought about her oath. About her brother's grave. About every victim who deserved justice. I can't, she whispered. Not yet. Something broke in Luca's eyes. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be waiting. But I won't wait forever. 2 weeks before the wedding, Isabella's handler made the decision for her. We're moving up the timeline. Wedding day we arrest everyone. We've coordinated with Italian authorities. You'll wear a wire, get Luca talking about family business during the ceremony prep. Once we have enough on tape, we move in. He's planning to turn himself in after the wedding. To Interpol. Not to us. We need this arrest, Isabella. We need the credit, the convictions, the proof that American law enforcement can touch these people. Your job is to make that happen. And if I refuse, then you're obstructing justice. And I'll have no choice but to report that you're personally compromised. Which means you'll lose your badge, your career, and any chance of helping the people you claim to care about. Isabella went to Luca that night. Found him in his apartment, surrounded by wedding planning he clearly hated. I'm FBI, she said without preamble. I've been undercover for 6 months. Everything about Isabella Santos the designer is a lie. My real name is Isabella Reyes. I'm from Los Angeles, not Sao Paulo. And I was sent here to gather evidence against your family. Luca went very still. How much of it was fake? The cover story. The fashion background. My reason for being in Rome. What about us? That was real. Everything between us was real. Was it? Or was sleeping with me part of the mission? Get close to the heir. Make him trust you, gather evidence. It started as mission. It became real. I love you, Luca. That's not fake. But not enough to choose me over your badge. He laughed bitterly. God, I'm an idiot. I told you everything. Showed you my escape plan. Trusted you with my life. And you're just going to arrest me. I'm trying to save you. If you cooperate, testify for us instead of Interpol, I can get you immunity. Witness protection. Everything you wanted. Except you. Because FBI agents don't run away with criminals, do they? Luca moved to the window. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to marry Juliana as planned. I'm going to turn my evidence over to Interpol as planned. And you're going to arrest me at the wedding like your handlers want. We'll both do our duty. We'll both lose everything that matters. And we'll both pretend it was worth it. Luca. Get out. Please. I can't look at you right now. Isabella left. Went back to her hotel. Cried for the first time since her brother died. The day before the wedding, Luca showed up at her door one last time. Run away with me, he said. Right now. Choose love over duty. Choose us over them. I'm begging you, Isabella. Choose me. And she said no. The cathedral was packed with Italy's most powerful criminals, all dressed like legitimate businessmen. Isabella stood in her bridesmaid dress with a wire taped to her ribs, watching Luca prepare to marry Juliana. The priest began. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. Isabella's FBI handler whispered through her earpiece. Remember, we need clear audio of Luca discussing family business. Try to get him alone before the ceremony. But Isabella wasn't listening. She was watching Luca, seeing the resignation in his shoulders, the defeat in his eyes. This was wrong. All of it was wrong. The priest asked if anyone objected. Isabella's hand moved to the wire. She could rip it off. Could stop this. Could choose love over law. But the faces in the crowd stopped her. All the people Moretti operations had hurt. All the victims who deserved justice. She stayed silent. Luca looked at her one last time. A goodbye in that gaze. Then he turned back to the priest. Opened his mouth to say, I do. And the cathedral exploded. Not literally, figuratively. Armed men burst through the doors. Not FBI. Not Italian police. Interpol. They'd acted on Luca's evidence early. Coordinated with Italian authorities. Came to arrest the entire Moretti and Russo families in one sweep. Chaos erupted. Guests pulled weapons. Agents shouted commands. Gunfire echoed through the cathedral. And Luca grabbed Isabella's hand and ran. They crashed through a side exit, into Rome's ancient streets, running like their lives depended on it. Behind them, arrests and gunfire and the collapse of two empires. What did you do? Isabella gasped as they ran. I moved up my timeline. Gave Interpol everything yesterday. Told them to hit the wedding before the FBI could claim jurisdiction. Luca pulled her into an alley. I couldn't let you arrest me. Couldn't let you carry that guilt. So I made the choice for both of us. Where are we going? I have a car. Fake passports. Money. Everything we need to disappear. He cupped her face. I'm choosing you over my empire. Over my name. Over everything I was supposed to be. The question is, can you choose me over your badge? Isabella thought about her career. Her oath. Her duty to the victims. Then she thought about Luca giving up everything. His family, his identity, his entire world for a chance at love. I choose you, she said. God help me, I choose you. They ran. Interpol arrested 47 people at the wedding, including Giuliana Russo and most of Luca's extended family. The Moretti empire collapsed within weeks. Assets seized. Operations dismantled. 3 generations of crime wiped out. And Luca Moretti ceased to exist. The man who stepped off a plane in Buenos Aires 3 months later was Marco Silva, Argentine businessman. No criminal record, no ties to Italy. Beside him was his wife Anna, fashion designer, Sao Paulo native, building a legitimate career. They bought a small apartment in Palermo neighborhood. Started over with nothing but each other, and the money Luca had hidden in legitimate investments years ago. Do you regret it? Isabella asked one night, watching the Buenos Aires sunset from their balcony. Giving up everything you were? I regret nothing. Luca pulled her close. I was a prisoner my entire life. You set me free. I betrayed my badge, my oath, my country. You chose love over law. That's not betrayal. That's being human. Isabella's former FBI handler had called once. The number blocked but the voice recognizable. You're burned. Your career is over. But I understand why you did it. Sometimes the person you save changes you more than the people you arrest. Be happy, Reyes. You earned it. They built a life. Simple, quiet, real. Luca designed buildings. His childhood dream finally realized. Isabella opened a boutique, creating fashion for people who couldn't afford haute couture. They had no empire, no power, no legacy. Just each other. On their first anniversary, Luca took Isabella to the cathedral where they'd almost gotten married. I never said my vows, he told her. To Giuliana. I was about to, but then Interpol arrived. So technically, I've never been married. Technically. So let me do it right. He got down on one knee in the empty cathedral. Isabella Reyes. Ana Silva. Whatever name you choose. Will you marry me? For real this time. No empires. No duty. Just us. Yes. In every language. Yes. They married in a small Buenos Aires church. No guests except the priest. No FBI. No Interpol. No ghosts from their past. Just 2 people who'd chosen love over everything else. And as they walked out into the Argentine sun, hand in hand, Isabella thought about that moment in the cathedral when she'd almost said no. Almost chosen duty over love. Thank God she'd been wrong. Thank God Luca had been brave enough to choose her even when she couldn't choose him. Because the mafia prince had given up his empire for her. And that was worth more than any career, any oath, any duty to anything except each other.